Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay! Welcome to FMLFPL Malone.
It's Walsh.
Last proper okay of the season, and then we're retiring.
Yeah. How you doing, babe?
Doing good. How about you?
Yeah, chilling. You know, Mets keep losing, but we're here. We're here.
Knicks knocked out, don't really care. Rangers kind of care. Mets lose, care
Rangers
tremendously.
Yeah, Rangers are in it.
Yeah, Rangers are
tomorrow.
in it. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
So 38, came and went.
Yeah, just because people hate when we don't talk about our teams, I guess how'd you finish up? How'd your game week 38 real quick, and I'll pull up the teams.
Yeah, I got 71. Captain Mo. I mean, Mateta's just continues.
Oh my God.
Continues.
One of the all-time heaters, right? I mean, let me pull this up.
Yeah, what can you say?
Since game week 25, 5, 6, 2, 8, 9, 2, 5, 2, 16, 13, 2, 6, 9, 20.
That was the cap 34. That was the big one. I capped him for that.
56 pointer. 56 pointer. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, we're great. He's great. Everything's great. I'm so happy I just listened to my balls and started Munoz instead of Gab.
Oh, I love that.
Huge 9-point swing for me. And then, Isak, on the bench.
It's funny because you transferred in two returners in Mo and Elise, but you transferred out what would have been an Isak auto sub and 14-pointer.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, and Isak I finished on 110K, and if I had Isak in, it would have gotten me into the top 100K.
Well, that's annoying. But the Isak thing is just so stupid and emblematic of the season with the false leaks and bullshit. And everyone benched him, and then everyone had Saka auto sub in Isak. It's like, fuck off the world.
So exciting. How about you? How'd you finish?
51 for me. Another fat red. Just another punt down the drain for me. I got Rodri in for Saka, so kind of worked out in that sense.
Yeah.
Got Vicario wrong, got Van de Ven wrong, Trip subbed on for 9 minutes. I don't know. Dodging points all over the place with like Son, Nico, Gakpo, Holland. Should have fucking hat trick probably, but who gives a shit? 250K, pretty bad season for Team Milan, but we move.
Yeah, we'll go to next season, but for today it's a little bit of last and a little bit of next. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we'll get into all the topics.
Yeah, most of your points seem to be next, and I don't know. I think some of mine are last, but let's do league updates. Last league updates of the season. Cup winner Neil Gupta, aka Pain Olympics. I will DM you for your custom kit of choice. Haven't done that yet. Great job by you. Fucking insane. Every year I say like it's just unimaginable to win the cup. I don't even understand. So good job by you. May mug winners, last mug of the season. Ray, first place mug. Bad pricing, bad game is his name. Great job by you. Jamie Fenning, aka Ballymather Ball Boys, in second place, and tied for third. Rob Jones, aka Omni Shambles, and Scott, aka Desert Bug, aka our first ever Patreon subscriber, aka Legend Genius Human, Desert the Bug. Shout out to everyone there.
Good job by you, Bug and Rye. Yeah. It's nice to see some old names. Names.
Yeah. And then the public league winner, Sam T, aka Ederson, aka Palmer, taking it from Jack the Lad.
Where did Jack Lad finish?
Good question. 30.
30 around the
30 clean.
Yeah.
Clean right. 30.
It's not bad.
He went from 18 to 30. It's so stupid, this game sometimes. And Jack was 37 in game week 28. His rank, this is his ranks: 37, 59, 50, 73, 172, 43, 24, 28, 23, 18, 30. It's just like plus minus 5 every week based on like what fucking auto stuff you have.
But it's also not easy to stay.
No, absolutely. Yeah. You you have to think differently for sure. And the guy
Yeah.
who won beat everyone by like over 50 points. Like said, it was fucking
Easy for him
Norwegian.
this year.
He was in first.
Some Scando god.
Since game week 34, he's been in first and just easily held it, destroyed everyone. Good job by him.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. Where are we beginning? Where do we usually begin? Don't know. Your
guess is as good as mine.
Should we just start with your notes? So let me start by saying I think most of this episode will be Walsh's notes, my notes, some other shit sprinkled in. And then the Thursday pod, the post-post-mortem, is going to be a lot of questions, heavy Discord questions, responses, rebuttals to the shit that we talk about on this episode. And that's kind of, I think, how we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to start with your notes, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
So a lot of it is kind of trying to take what we saw this year and any kind of trends or where we see the game moving. But, it's not really to just strictly analyze or dissect what happened, yesterday and this past year, but also like what we can take from it to look at for game week 1, because the season's over. So no one gives a shit about it really.
I have
anymore.
a question.
It's just,
What's your note-taking process? Are you all season? You just have like a note app in your phone, like scribbling things, or what's the deal?
No, I don't think I don't think I do my first note until probably, I think this year was probably like around game week 32 or something.
Oh shit. Okay.
And then I have, the notes app on the computer, and I just have like one page that's like post-mortem, like headline.
Yeah.
And then I just type in. So I'll just open it if I have an idea, and I'll just type it in, and then I'll close it. And
so one thing that I did differently this year, and I only half-assed it, I want to do a better job last year, is like I kind of had like a page of postmortem all season. And it started on fucking August 19th when you DM'd me about a Stupignon. And all I did, I literally just wrote a Stupignon, copy pasted our entire combo and put it in there. And I was just like, we need to talk about this like, 9 months from now or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But, so there's some old school stuff in mine. But yeah, go ahead with yours.
Well, why don't we start with yours? If yours predates mine and it's earlier, it'll probably make more sense to timeline it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So
the
Stupignon is the first one in order, and the one I wrote. And here's I'm just gonna read the combo because it's not that long.
Right.
Early season Discord combo, August 19th, probably after he got a fucking 20-pointer in some relegation game. Walsh said, "Perv pain, so upset. Why are we so fucking stupid?" I said, "We really, really fucked that one up. I think we knew he was a good safe pick for 3 game weeks, but that's just enough to go for someone. We were thinking too long term." Walsh, "Yeah, that was just fucking dumb. We're dumb. 50% owned. Don't know why I was trying so hard to find reasons to not have Perv." Me, right. We were looking for reason to not have him instead of just owning. Walsh, "That's a postmortem. Get out of our own way." Me, "We weren't even that high in Arsenal D, yet we both start with Saliba, who's a bad fixture run starting game week 4. Same price, we don't go with Stupignon." Walsh, "Yeah, makes no sense. Fuck us. Fuck, man."
Yeah.
So, yeah. We didn't have a Stupignon, and he fucking was irrelevant for 90% of the season, but very relevant in the first few game weeks of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, just to cast your eye back, because it feels like it was a lifetime ago.
So
I mean, he
long.
started at 5 million starting price. He was in, it was something like 40%, I think, because
He was
they had
the highest owned defender in the game is for sure.
Yeah, he had home Luton Knights, at Wolves, home Western, first 3, and then it got a little bit tricky. Got a assist, 7-pointer Luton Knights, goal assist, 11-pointer Wolves, 1-pointer, 2-pointer. Then he kind of just fell apart. But we're talking about this after he puts 18 and 2, and then the fixture run changes and everyone gets rid anyway. He got injured, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's really the point underpinning it is very early fixture run vis-a-vis 3 games at the most. Game week 1 through 3. And then just getting swept away with the tide, like the groundswell of, No, we didn't like the cleans. No, they didn't keep a clean for, I think, a few months. They didn't keep their first clean for a few months.
Right. It was like game week 18 or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on that. And also, he was playing sometimes auxiliary winger. And, it's just looks, you look at it as what's the cost to not owning him? And then who are you getting in his stead? And, the cost is this, right? He puts 19 in 3 game weeks. And the guy you get in his stead, say we had Saliba, right? We both had Saliba.
Yeah, we both had Saliba. I don't even know who else. Yeah.
Yeah. But let me check. Saliba, the first 3 game weeks, put up 5, 8, and 1. So 14. So
good
it's
pick.
Good. Good pick. And both, right? That's the answer. We should have had both. And, I don't know what the answer is on this one, because I kind of come back and forth on this thing of, there's a better chance, obviously, that the defender gets attacking returns when they're playing bad teams. And also, if you don't think that the team is going to keep cleans, then it just puts so much stress on the attacking return. I remember the Luton, I think he was good for attacking returns in both those games, if I remember correctly. And also they were very late. The Luton night, I think the assist was really late.
One of them was 90
stoppage
something minutes. It was 95th minute Ferguson goal.
Yeah.
Super nice assist that boosted him to max bones.
Instead of getting 1 point, he got 5 or something. Yeah,
whatever
that.
it was. Yeah.
I don't know. Is the takeaway just if there is a sub 5/5 defender who's that highly owned with attacking intent, just don't second guess it, or second guess it? And what do you think?
I think my listening to you just now, I think my 2 takeaways might be, if we're sort of framing this as something to learn from for next season, would be first of all, 3 game weeks is enough, right? That just as a general statement. If there's just if anyone has 3 fucking bangers, that's enough to get a player.
Yeah. I'll tell you who this is next year. It's Porro.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's somewhat donkey who plays attack and is a defender on a team that can't keep a clean for their fucking lives.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So if they have this fixture run of Lutonite, Wolves, Western, and he's 5. He should be 5 million next year, and he's just in 45% of teams. Is just take me away, jailer. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great example. Okay. I think Liverpool guys thrown there. My other takeaway while you were talking is we've always said, and I still think it's true, even though we don't practice it. We break this rule all the time, but don't be first on a player, right?
Yeah.
In our American fantasy, where we fucking learned how to live, you want to be first because you're the only person who has him. In this game, let other people take the risk. Get on him when you feel better about the pick. Also true, don't be the first off a player. Estupiñán, we know he's a good pick. We're we're preempting his bad fixture on in game week 4, but we don't have to prove it by not owning him. Does it make sense in the reverse also?
I think it's a lot easier to jump off rather than hold, because typically the reasons we have to jump off are good ones. The fixture run changes, so the likelihood of points is decreased, or they get injured, or they're just playing really badly. So if he and they are playing really well and then they have a rocky patch of fixtures, that's not going to be a reason for us to jump. But if we see underlyings, or we are watching and we're this is fraudulent, shambolic that these points are coming in, then I like jumping off early. I feel jumping off early is a lot more advantageous for us, you and I personally, because we watch the games. So we have a better idea of what is going on rather than, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think that there's some threading of a needle here that, again, I don't really have fleshed out, but if you're doing well, say you're Jack the Lad or Derek or something like that, they make significantly less transfers in a season than you or me. Less hits, less transfers. They're doing well. They keep doing well. So for them, it's why am I getting rid of a good pick? Everyone in my rank has him anyway. I'm just going to hold, insert
Saka.
Ollie, Saka, whatever, Mo, Son, whoever the player is, right? But I do think when you're chasing, as I was for the second half of the season, you were for, I guess, the second half of the season too. I feel like going off players and taking more risks and taking more hits, like we almost don't do it enough. If you actually want to have like a good rank at the end of the season, I don't know. There's something there.
There's something to that. There's something to that.
Yeah. Piggybacking off that, I mean, this isn't really in order, but it's kind of related. It's just, Mishka sent in a thing that basically pointed out if you add up all the best players, highest point scorers overall in the season, double Palmer's because he was the highest scorer in the season. Let's just say you add some for chips, whatever. It's 2,511 points. It's around 50K overall. It's okay, but you would think having the literal highest point scorer in every position would be better than that. And I was looking at that and I was just like, man, we always used to talk about these set and forgets, these glue guys, 150 point player, blah, blah, blah on this team, set pieces, pens. Like, that just doesn't fucking exist anymore. Like,
No,
I almost want to say, like, we should actually never think long term. Like, this game just doesn't make sense long term. 4 to 6 game weeks per player. The only players that people kept were basically like Saka, Son, Saka, best player on the second best team. Son, best player on the 5th or 6th best team. Palmer, best player in the fucking universe. No, Holland. No one kept 4th, 5th mid. No one kept 3rd, 4th, 5th defenders. No one kept their 2nd and 3rd forwards all year.
Yeah.
No matter how well you did.
Yeah, no, it definitely isn't a thing anymore. It's definitely, the game's changed with the pricing and the goals and the points and how many more there are that, you're not just getting Grob and don't think about it. You definitely want to get Grob when they have 6 good fixtures in 10. And then you sell him for whoever replacement Grob is, when the other team has 6 good fixtures in 10. I think that the main difference, though, are the players like Palmer, like you're describing, though, who do transcend that, where they are categorically mispriced for what they're doing. And, it's just a cheap pick who's performing at a premium asset price kind of thing. And, this year it was definitely Palmer. But, Gordon, AGO boy, definitely fits a very similar category, right? I mean, he was 6 million, or he was 5.5 at the beginning of the game, and he was just a basically premium pick all year, more or less. The away home splits are kind of comedic at this point, but
it which ended up like not. At the end of the season when people got back on him, it's funny because he like hauled home Spurs, hauled home Sheffield, and then blanked home Brighton and scored in 2 away games. So it's like, whatever, home away, whatever, bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're definitely not doing that anymore. I don't think that, the JWP of yesteryear where you could just look at, okay, he's going to get his minutes. He's going to find his direct free kick goals periodically. Yeah. Let me just do that and square that away so I can spend transfer rights. Because remember, right, back when we were doing this or talking about this, there were 4 12 million picks that we wanted all of them. Yeah. And we wanted to captain one of them and we wanted to cycle through them. And there were 9-5 picks. There were 10-5 picks. I mean, that's not really in the game anymore. Yeah. So the need is just different and the game is just different, right?
And I assume they'll keep the pricing, which basically means these players are not a thing anymore. Yeah, just looking, I always kind of like to pull a little bit of a sample of my team, your team. I pulled Jack the Lad because he's our friend and he finished 30th overall. And I pulled Derek, who's also our friend, finished 15K overall. The only players that I had for over 25 starts were Holland, Son, and Saka. You, it's just Son. For Jack, it's just Son, Saka, Holland. And for Derek, it's Holland, Ollie, and Saka. That's it. Those are your set and forgets. Yeah. The idea of like, Pereira even last year, like, nah, just not. You don't need that guy. Yeah. Don't need a glue guy. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing on my list was just Rich, and former best pick in the game, declared by us preseason. instantly worst pick in the game by game week 4 when he's dropped and Son scores a hat trick at striker.
He had a revival of best pick in the game.
And then he had a revival to best pick in the game.
A month and a half or so.
For a while, yeah. And none of the pod boys owned him.
Nope.
And then, then he got hurt and, kind of forget about the rest of the season. He started like one game for the rest of the season.
Yeah. So what do you see in this reclassed as forward next year?
Yeah, it's less specifically a Rich thing. I just think that, and this sort of applies to like where I was thinking about Kai also. And, maybe we go to Kai next, but there were many reasons why we both agreed, and many others. It's not like we were on a fucking island, that he's fucking essential. He's instantly on our game week 1 team. As soon as Kane got transferred, no question, no doubt about it. Starts the first 3 game at striker and a team that's attacking relentlessly.
Did you have him?
Yeah, we both
game week
had
1?
him.
I had Matto and you did not have Matto. Is that the difference?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
And I think that, obviously as soon as he's dropped, I don't think it was the wrong decision to get rid of him. He still got the occasional return, but he was mostly just bad and a player that no one owned after he got dropped for 3 games in a row. And then once he went on his heater, and it was when Son was away, so the competition for minutes went away and he was kind of the main man again, like he was game week 1. I do think that there's something there of like, we were on him for a reason. That doesn't mean that he's like permanent. Now that we are off him, it doesn't mean he's permanently a bad pick. He's exact same scenario game week 16 as he was game week 1. Literally exactly. Starting striker, team that attacks relentlessly, nailed because Son's away. And we just all are like, fuck him. We're too emotional, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's for sure. It also just felt really fluky to me as well, though, in that run. Like, the goals were not commensurate with really strong performances for 90. Like, he was getting subbed, he was finishing these, like, his one and only chance of the game, or I don't know. It didn't feel like it looked very good to me, which was aiding in my reluctance and unwillingness to bring him in. But I think we also at that time kind of had firing midfielders where it was like, it was like a good pick for a good pick thing.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I don't remember who we had on our team then. Because I was doing really well then, and you were starting your climb right around then too. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, just the notion of, preseason views that we have and, pre-game week 1 things that don't pan out, just because in a month or so in a small sample size doesn't mean that it's a death sentence for the end of the season, right? For the rest of the year.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And yeah, sure. The rich one's a good example. And like I said, I think Kai's a little bit more complicated because no one was on him game week 1 and he was a really bad pick in game week 1. But the thing with Kai is that we both like him as a player, just as a human. And there should have been some sort of mental note somewhere. I think I mentioned this a few pods ago. Just like if he ever actually nails down the game week, the number 9 spot, he's a fucking 7 million mid playing striker on the second best team in the league.
Yeah.
Hard. So when do you pull the trigger? Is like kind of the answer. But if you pull the trigger at any of game week 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, you're fucking hauling.
Yeah.
You're flying.
Yeah, it very much reminds me of Coleman versus Baines, right? Where you're looking at, Baines is Saka and Kai is Coleman of yesteryear, if you get this analogy, if you're
explain to the many people who do not get this analogy.
Yeah. So in the waning years of Baines' life, when Coleman was younger and a really good right attacking fullback, Baines was just basically never attacked, but had pens and did nothing in open play and had some set pieces. And Coleman was just marauding and looked like he was going to get a return every game and usually did.
Yeah.
But, we were all sort of like in the FPL community. Not all, but a lot of us, I was definitely in this place at this time of my life, like so obsessed with just having the penalty taker and just like, well, it's free 6 points if you get, and meanwhile, Coleman's just shitting all over him for, 5 game periods at a time. And, it's like, when do you use the transfer to just right the mistake that you have? And I'm using this because it's the same team kind of thing where it's
no, it's related to the soccer thing.
Everyone had 2 defenders in Saka, and it was very obvious after 3 games of Kai playing striker that he's just a better pick than Saka in FPL. And how many if I was doing well, let's say I was like 9K, like, would I have done that? Like Saka to Kai? Like, probably not. I would have probably been too scared.
So
like a
risky.
Little bitch.
Yeah, like he was Saka. What is 98% owned probably
in that time,
in that
back in the
tier
game week 20 range. Yeah. Even though we were shitting on him also relentlessly.
Oh yeah.
And it's I feel like we do need to kind of like hold each other more accountable to these things where it's like, no. And I feel like, honestly, I made some gains in this, I think, in just doing what I think, even though like no one would tell me to do it. And like it generally, like when I do that, it works for me. Like it works out pretty well. And I mean, if we believe something and we see something, then, the owner, like, I mean, this is sort of talking out of both sides of our mouths. We're talking about the Purvis thing earlier, but I think the difference is like the strength of force of how much we believe about something it matters here, where it's like, okay, like, we don't think Brighton's defense is good. And also, who are we getting instead? Like, are we going to start stumping for like a new Mauricio Pochettino team with Chilwell?
Yes, we both are.
But like, I mean, like, what are we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, but when we have like the games in the bank and we're watching, okay, Kai's playing striker, he could stop playing striker tomorrow, and we got a free transfer every week. Like that's why we got free transfers. Yeah. I mean, it's like, we also have that issue, right? Where if a manager plays a player for a few games in a certain thing, and we're like, well, he could just go back to doing this other thing that would be worse. Well, then the ship passes us, right? Then we miss the boat because we're like, because he might just not do that. And then we miss all these points. And we're sitting here 3 weeks later of him, 3 more games of him playing striker. And we're like, well, now their good fixture runs over. So what are we supposed to do now? You're like, so.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think of like like something comparable to this where like, so-and-so is playing so out of position, ridiculous. Everyone should get him. And then like very quickly, everyone should sell him.
Well, Chilwell. we had that this year.
For sure. Yeah. But that wasn't positional. That was just he's terrible and injured.
But that was positional because remember he was playing striker for a couple games?
He was. Yeah,
like
he was.
The first few games. Remember that?
Yeah, and the most recent one is Nuri. Like few games at striker, double-digit hauls, yada, yada. And then like instantly one of the worst picks you could have in your team. But yeah, I mean I misspoke earlier. It wasn't that early, but it was like game week 26 according to FBref when he started like starting at forward. It was like game week 26. But if you look back, I mean, guess what that coincides with? That was a Jesus injury. Jesus all of a sudden was out for a month. Boom. What more information could we possibly need? That this is Arteta's solution for one game while Jesus is out. And Arsenal are winning 6-0, 5-0, 4-1, 6-0 with Kai up top. Yeah. Like, I don't think he's changing.
They'll probably just keep going with that.
Yeah, he's probably just the most informed player in the team right now. So
Yeah,
there's something there. There. And he should have scored more in this game week too. I mean, he was just fucking great. He had such a good second half of the season. And everyone was kind of shitting on him after having a very quiet and kind of bad first 20-something games of the season. And, he obviously turned around, but, Arsenal probably win the title if he was playing this well all season. So that's the counterpoint.
He had to find his feet.
Yeah. What else is there? Let me see. Well, this one, some of the problem with my note-taking technique is that sometimes I write like a note and I'm like, oh, I'm going to remember that 6 months later. And then I just, I don't know. This note just says expectations is starting well debate.
I mean, can you try and get inside your own mind from
this must have been in my doldrums post wildcard when I drop 120K after the best start of my career and never recover.
It's funny because, you and I over the last few seasons, you've been starting well, like consistently. And I haven't had a good start in 8 years, I think, 7 years.
Yeah.
What so you get into these positions and then you kind of freeze.
Well, last year I had a great finish.
Last year you had a great year. Yeah, you did great last year.
I was probably around a similar rank like halfway through the season this year and last year. This year I dropped 250K. Last year I finished 20K, and it's just
because this year you were positioned to finish top 10K.
I could have had like really, really seriously best season. Yeah, and I didn't.
I mean, you were between like you were around 50K from game week 13 to game week 19.
And I hadn't used wild card.
Yeah, and then you used all your chips and you flew backwards.
So this is maybe just more like, because I also have notes on my wild card one. So maybe we just take it from there because I don't really know what I was talking about. But I mean, basically, game week 19, I was 49K.
Yeah.
Game week 20, I was wild card one last week to possibly use it. I drop 120K places. I go on a fucking stormer of all red arrows until wildcard 2, and then I kind of recover a little bit.
Yeah.
So I used 2 wildcards within 7 game weeks because I fucked myself that badly.
Yep.
What is there to learn? Big question. I mean, Ethical wrote in and said, wildcard feels like this all-important, massively powerful chip. I think I've forgotten my excitement. It can completely fuck you up, too. It's so hard to come back from. In the moment, you realize you've got it wrong. You realize it's so many transfers, it'll take impossibly long to put it right. If I hadn't hit the button, I'd be flying now, blah, blah, blah. He wrote that in because of my wildcard one at the time. I mean, basically what happened was, the big decisions that fucked me were I got rid of Mo because it was 1 week before AFCON.
And that was that game he had that huge
He had a 16-pointer, biggest haul of the season. I got rid of Sun because it was 1 week before the Asian Cup. He had a 9-pointer.
Yeah.
And I benched Palmer, who was good, but not some established, I'm one of the best players in the league. Yeah. And he had an 18-pointer. And I got rid of Arsenal defense. I think that's the one where I'm just like, why did I do that? I just got rid of all Arsenal defenders. I kept Saka. And I just reset my defense completely different.
Yeah. Did they have a tough fixture run or something? Or
I mean, let me look. So game week 20, no. I mean, not at all. They had a good fixture run.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look back, they had 7 cleans in their first 19 games. And then they had 11 cleans in the next 19. And I didn't have guys for the next 19.
Yeah.
Most of Gabriel and Ben White's attacking returns also happened in that run.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were obviously in and around about, if I just do the numbers really quickly, I think they were probably first or second with City, close to Liverpool in terms of best defense in the league. But they were not what they were in the second half of the season, which was they're just by a very big stretch the best defense in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, because you took all these attacking punts in defense.
Yeah, I just went all defenses are kind of bad, and I'm just going to get a bunch of attackers.
Yeah. Besto. Yeah.
So, in hindsight, it's obviously Will, why'd you get rid of the by far best defense in the league? But they weren't that then. So I don't know. I don't know what to learn. I mean, maybe it's just don't be so risky on your wild card. But I was going for maybe I'll finish top 1K this year. And then it was just...
Yeah, it didn't work out, obviously, but...
Didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have a hard time with wildcard in general.
Hate it the most. Hate it so much.
I'm not really too sure. I feel like you kind of get antsy with it, and then you also stave it off, and... you use it like it's like an albatross around your neck instead of a get-out-of-jail-free card.
And what's funny is last year I had that good season, and last year was the World Cup year, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, last year was the World Cup year, and I wildcarded game week 3.
Yeah,
I just fucking got it out of the way.
Yeah, you get in your head, and then you just do weird shit instead of doing the obvious stuff with wildcard. And maybe also you try to do things a little too drastic, or you make too many changes instead of just doing 6 moves and shoring a couple spots up. But when you're waiting till January 1, where it's I can't use it now, I have to use it then. then that also kind of gets into like the double game week dilemma where it's like you're not picking players you like because of the wild card, which is stupid. Where it's like, oh, I can't do these things because I have to dead end to this, to do that, to get like one extra fixture, when maybe it's just like, you know what? These 4 picks are bad. It's game week 9, like whatever. I'm just going to use it now instead of taking a -8 or looking at like, these are a few moves I want to make. Maybe you do it a little bit more proactively instead of wait until there's like a disaster crisis.
Yeah, which wasn't even the case, funny enough, this year, because I used it because if I didn't use it that week, I couldn't use it anymore. I would just, so that.
But you're not using it in a position of strength when you're doing that. You're using it.
I mean, I should have made like 3 moves. That's what's crazy. It's like in hindsight, like I had Mo, I had Son, I had Palmer, I had Arsenal defenders.
Yeah, I mean, you could have made like
very few changes.
Them. Yeah. Like you could have done that just to hide them and shore up your cheap guys and just do that. But you went on the aggressive and to try and say like, okay, no, I'm going to try and punish managers who don't have and it could have worked out differently, but.
Yeah,
I think that there is just something to that, like waiting when like, even if it's like, I'm just kind of looking at like when you took hits and you had a little period between, I'm not clicking on your team every week, but game week 10, you took a hit, game week 12, you took a hit, game week 13, you took a hit. Like,
what could I have done those weeks?
Yeah, we should have been wildcarding there.
But also I was flying then.
Sure, but you would have been flying more if you had 12 more points.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I mean, but if you're sitting there as like, okay, I have this little area of my team identified as like, I want to make these guys go to this guy. Yeah. And I could save, I could take a hit, I could take another hit. It's like, just fucking wild card. If you save wild card till game week 20, you're probably going to fuck your season. So like, maybe it's
or you're going to just wild card and make basically no changes, which it was, my situation, which is.
Then you're like, because then you were at that point where you're like, my team's good, I have to wildcard and make changes. You're not going to like, oh, I'm going to just wildcard and make 2 moves, like, or 3 moves. Who does that?
Right.
But then you're making your team worse just because you feel like you have to use the chip to that. Yeah. And it's not like actually helping you get points, right?
It didn't help me. Yeah, clearly. It's a hard one. I need to analyze it and figure out when is best to wildcard next year. And I also I got guys that got injured. I got guys that I didn't really believe in. I just got guys because it was like, these are the guys now, in a very like sort of short term thinking way. And, it either is going to, if I put myself in a spot where I'm either going to absolutely fucking storm up the table like you've never seen before because I got everything right and everyone else got everything wrong. Or more likely, everyone else got everything right, and I'm just gonna fucking fly. But I mean, not fly, fall. But looking further at the Arsenal team, what's kind of ironic is that I got rid of them game week 20 on that wild card. They kept 1 clean in the next 4 game weeks, but in that 1 clean, Gabriel also got a goal and assist. I think Ben White also got a return, and then they cleaned 10 out of the next 14. So they did kind of like fall off. Like it was like, oh, I maybe made a right call. Like, I dodged some bad points. And then they just went absolutely fucking crazy, unheard of stormer. Yeah. Everyone should have triple Arsenal defense. Like fuck Saka, fuck Kai. Everyone should just be triple defense.
I mean, once I got that right, that worked for me.
But like, there were no real indications at that point. They just came off like a bad run. They had 1 clean in 6.
Yeah,
before West Ham.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do there. Aside from, I just ripped my second wild card and just, fixed it. I was just like, oh, I guess I just need to go back to Saliba, Gabriel, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough one, man.
All right.
I do feel like I got max punished a lot this season. Like I got rid of a guy and then like immediately has his like highest points total this season. Like Foden a few times with hat tricks and shit like that.
Foden, something else.
Yeah, Foden. What else did I have? I guess not that much. I think we should. Let's go to yours.
Okay. So first one I have is 4.5 times 5 in defense, rotate for home games only, both in question marks. Really just drawing off of something we've touched on all season, in and out of just how many more goals there are in the league, and just how unreliable clean sheets are and how unreliable, the top teams are for clean sheets.
Yeah.
And just, is that really where we want to be spending our money? We had obviously Arsenal this year overall kept a shit ton of cleans. City, sort of kind of finished up with an okay number, but it was very fraudulent. And, you're not really doing great. Say you have Walker and another defender all year, you're not doing great. You really needed to spike Vard at the end, or, really they had more cleans at the end of the season. But you look at the season this year, right? Outside of Arsenal, the clean sheet reliability was just in the toilet.
It was a little worse than recent memory. It was
definitely
historically bad. Yeah.
And, this is just more of what we were talking about as the season's been progressing, but there are a lot of teams that there are no Stokes just everywhere. There aren't 4 Stokes in the league anymore.
There's one, and it's Everton.
Yeah, there's one, and it's Deitch. But, you're not looking at teams that are just parked and not trying to score with no attacking talent on them at all. And, in this climate, it just feels really ridiculous to spend extra money in defense to me. Yeah. And, I don't think I had this on one of my, a little bit later on, but, this idea of Arsenal defense, right? They were obviously priced to buy this year. They were 5 million coming in. We had Skelet, Gab, Saliba, White, whatever. But, every year, whether it's, Mourinho, Chelsea going into the next season, or Man United after they keep 15 cleans with DDG, going into the next season, these teams that are stalwarts in defense just regress because no team can do this consistently, because that is the exception to the rule. That is the anomaly. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to see these Arsenal defenders all 6 million plus.
Yeah. Minimum,
and I'm not going to be anywhere near, unless if they have, promoted side, Brighton promoted side or something where it's okay, I guess I'm fucked if I don't have this one guy. But, if they have a mixed bag of fixtures like you'd expect everyone to have kind of thing, I don't really want to be anywhere near any of their 6 million defenders because of these kind of reasons. I just expect a little bit of regression, and, it's just not where I want to put my money.
It's also just Ben White is sort of in his own category because of how his attacking shit at the end of the season just went crazy, right? He basically had 3 goals, 3 assists in the last 14 game weeks and popped off while they were cleaning every game, and he was getting bonus, right? So he finished on 182, really good.
But will not do that again.
Yeah, and Gabriel, who most people had for most of the season, it's pretty much everyone's most started defender because he was cheap. He wins all his headers, even though he hasn't scored a goal in a very long time. Yada, yada, yada. He finished on 149. It's okay.
It's fine.
But it's fine. But you're telling me his best ever season is going to finish 25 points above an Everton 4-5?
But that's the thing is,
that's never going to be worth it at 6-0 or 6-5.
Yeah. Just the defender points in total are just so low.
So low.
Everyone's in the low hundreds. Everyone, whether you play for Palace, Newcastle, or City, it's 120 to 100. You're looking at, 15 players in that bracket, and it's just so scattergun. And, Ben White scoring on crosses, getting subbed off before they concede. He had points that were just charmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, and back to just the home and away split where it's just it felt to me more than ever this year that away cleans were the most gold dust thing in the world. Like mid-table teams are not keeping away cleans. You know, even just like non-Arsenal teams, keeping an away clean just felt so rare this year that, you know, for me with defenders, like if I can just have 3 home defending starts every week, like that's my goal. Like I want to just have that as much as possible, whenever possible, is just have 3 defenders who are on whatever meh-ish teams that aren't, you know, bottom 6 that are at home. And like, I just want to rotate that. Like, that's kind of like how I see where I want to be playing the game next year at the beginning. Anyway.
The exceptions, I think, to the sort of rule of the, you know, defenders just not getting enough points are the really attacking guys who get bonus. I think bonus is like a, you know, sleeper big part of this story because, you know, like you mentioned, like those Chelsea teams, you know, there's other examples of teams keeping 22 cleans, Old City, you know, Liverpool teams.
Well, there's a team every year that does that.
But no, well,
identifying that game week 1 is impossible.
It used to be City and Liverpool every year, and that's why we all had Trent,
for like,
right? And that's why it's
for like
8.
2 or 3 years. I mean,
2 or 3 years.
But yeah.
And that's why we all had Trent, and that's why we all had Cancelo, and maybe Robbo, you know, etc. But the thing is now, it's like, unless Gabriel, Saliba, or White scored or assisted, it felt like there was no chance they were getting a bonus because Arsenal didn't. I mean, they obviously, they ground out some results, but in most games, they would just score goals. They have Rice incredible on bones, Odegaard incredible on bones, Saka's good on bones, Kai's good on bones. You know, all these guys. It's like, what route do they have to ever getting a fucking ball? Where it's like, you know, Trips, Porro, Trent, they can get max bones with 1 assist and no clean, and they can get max bones in a 4-0 win because they're part of the attack and they're so overwhelmingly good on bones. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there also is a more like divergent 2 groups of defenders who are good at attacking and good on bones. Those don't really exist. Like the only ones that exist are like Trips and Trent. Like
Trips and Porro.
I guess. Yeah. Like they just spam balls into the area. Like that's all they do. But like Munoz is so insane to watch because he's a striker. He's literally plays support striker mostly the whole game, if not just wing. And he wins the ball in the final third, in the box, like at the byline all the time. And he is the worst fucking player on bonus I've ever seen in my life. He never gets bonus.
What are his BPS numbers though? Like I haven't. Well,
he got 1 bonus when he had 2 assists and a 4-0. He got 1 bonus in the assist in the Villa game, but like generally speaking, watching him play, like when we keep cleans, he's nowhere near it. Like Liverpool, nowhere near it because he just does too much. He wins the ball, he loses the ball, he incomplete pass. Like he's so good and active that he doesn't do nothing. So he's bad on bonus points.
You gotta love the bonus point system.
But he's obviously the best defender on the team. It's not even close. Like he's one of the best players on the team every game. It's not even close. And so it's like you have to find that.
You have to
unique conflagration of, you know, doesn't do anything in open play, puts crosses in that are generally unsuccessful, and like is hiding for the rest of the game to be good on bonus points and attacking. It's just so hard to find those players, you know?
Yeah, I mean the big minuses on Munoz's like BPS shit is he gets he fouls conceded and he gets tackled a lot. Yeah. And both of those things happen because he gets far forward. He's on the ball. He's trying stuff. Yeah, he's trying to beat people.
It's just so stupid.
It's not a reasonable game. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, we need and Everton are like Everton, West Ham, NFO. These are the teams where I'm like, they're going to be all 4-5 and they're buses every game. And like that right there, like that might be 3 of our 5 right there. 1 guy from each of those teams rotating with Holmes, and like they're all buses and they're all solid defensive coaches and styles, and like boom.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I have some scattered notes about some of these teams as we'll come across them, but yeah, you're looking at Aiton at Wolves, depending if Gon's still there, or like Western if they have Lopetegui, or an Everton 4-5 defender certainly looks good to fit this bill, but there should be more. A Fulham 4-5 defender, there should be more than a few options to choose from. That,
there's a lot.
You can kind of fill your ranks with these kind of guys, and have a 4-5 defender with some attacking intent, and it'll free up money for you to put up in midfield and attack. So yeah, so that's one with the 4-5, and again, I just feel like the home is a big deal. Like the home is just such a big deal.
Looking at checking our work, looking at my defense compared to you, Jack, Derek. I mean, it is the Arsenal shit, obviously, and I never had Gvard because I was tripled up in attack, but I had 437 points total for my defenders. You had 526. Jack had 548. Derek 488 in between. Yeah. So it's just like
I hit defense good this year.
Yeah, I mean, which is funny because I had Saliba, my number 1 started. Gabriel, my number 2 started in terms of defenders started in the season. Then I had Gehi, Pau. Tsimikas is actually my highest average scorer, funny enough. Colwell. I had a bunch of nightmares. Moreno, Regs, Trent, Estupiñán, Rico, all nightmares. You had Gab, your number 1, started, 19. You had Gvardiol tied with a bunch of others, and he averaged you 8.8 points per game because obviously he just went crazy. And basically all your other picks until you get to Ben White were just nightmares also. It was just like you found hauls.
Yeah, a few hauls.
On the edge.
Like I had like a VDV haul earlier, like an 8 Nori, couple hauls. But that's all it takes in defense.
That's all it takes. Yeah, because usually
Munoz, you're getting 2 points.
Double digits. Yeah, because
Munoz
your other
for me.
top starters were Trent, Porro, Cash, Trips, Saliba. Who were all very bad for you.
Yeah. Porro did okay for me for a little bit.
Yeah, 3.6 points per game. It's like bare minimum. It's a bad player, but okay, maybe not an emergency. And it was sort of the same for everyone. Even Jack, who outscored all of us by a lot. He had 26 starts of Gabriel, 18 starts of Saliba. Next was 7 starts of Diaz for 2 points per game. Then he had 6 starts of Gvardiol, 10 points per game. Then he had Tsimikas, Dean, and Walker. It's just like, what the fuck? You just need to find the fucking hauls.
Yeah, I mean, that's how defense is. It's like a high tide rises the buoys or the ships or whatever. Everyone generally gets between 1 and 3 because it's such a hard position to get points from. But when you find the goal, you find the assist bones, you hold on to that.
Yeah, I feel like I almost want to treat it more like attack, which is something that we never do, where I'm like, I actually do want glue guys in defense. I just want to start. Next year, I would love to look back on my season and say I started 2 or 3 guys 25 times. There's no reason to not have that, and basically none of us had that. This guy was solid for me. They got 10 cleans. This guy was solid for me. They got 12 cleans, whatever.
Yeah, it's just the season's too variable for that.
And then I use transfers on just this guy is really attacking right now and has a window. This guy, and switch there because, that seems to be a recipe of success.
I feel like you have to be a little bit more fluid and also just luckier between maybe game week 1 and 10. But you do need to kind of pick your horse and stop fucking around with defense at some point. And do what you're saying, I think. But, to me, that's where I'm and we haven't talked about Trent. I feel like Trent is maybe going to be one of the auto game week 1 picks for me, depending on what his price comes in at. But
and his position.
But
in that team.
But having just these 4 or 5 guys and just this is spreading my sowing, spreading them out and just being I'll see what happens, feels like a good opening gambit. And then, taking in what happens and then, going from there rather than in the past, I'm what defense can I triple up on game week 1? It's never do that. That's not going to work. But that's how I would think previously.
Never do that. Totally. I mean, you mentioned not having an Arsenal defender. Maybe the fucking genius move is just triple Arsenal if they have a good fixture run. And then using transfers to get out of it. Once we figure out who's good and who's attacking, something like that could work,
Yeah, could
getting
be.
I'm guaranteeing myself good points for the first 7 game weeks when they have a good run, and then I'm going to slowly go to this wing back, this defense looks good, this guy looks good, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right, what's your next note?
So this is, I'll pair it with one that's a little bit down the line, but it's have a real 8th attacker and rotate. Combined with illness / presser worthlessness, having bench player or squad depth re-examined.
Oh my God, the pressers are just an all-time. Every year, the pressers are more worthless, I think. Every year we've played.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in a new category of they are worthless, and there's no point in even waiting for them anymore, where we used to be let wait for presser. If there's no Champions League, just wait till Thursday or Friday to do your moves for price changes. No, absolutely not. I will never say that again. I will never say wait for the presser. Someone might not be fit. That could happen, and they will definitely not tell you in the press conference. That's what will happen. So, with
it's
that,
sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is now, I guess. Edward pretending that Isak's not fit and isn't training to give himself a 0.5% edge on the opposing manager to be well, if Isak's not playing this, it's just ridiculous.
And then the leak says he's not playing. It's just unbelievable combo.
Yeah. But, we also are getting, whether people get COVID anymore, I couldn't say, but illness, people not playing, just the 0-minute appearances from the 11 this year, never been higher.
Insanely high. I don't even know a way to, I can't even pull that stat up. You just got to trust us. Yeah.
Yeah. It's high. It was high. And, it just makes me want to have the 8th attacker be a good player. And, more to the point of just having 8 attackers, no more 4-5 mid or 4-5 forward. Just your 8th attacker is someone you're happy to start, whenever.
Most weeks.
Yeah, most weeks. You don't want to start them at City. You never want to start an attacker in that fixture. But, it should be, a 5-5 mid or a 6 million mid or, a 5-5 forward or a 6 million forward who, if Bruno gets COVID, and they don't tell us, then the guy plays instead of
honestly,
the worst thing ever.
I think we'll see. Some mid sometimes will just come in underpriced and that's the guy. But I also think promoted side forward on pens is a great. This is a perfect role for them, right?
Morris.
Boom.
Yeah.
Anytime he subs in, he'll probably get 2 points, but he could get 9.
Sure.
And so just to look at the data, it's I had 14 auto subs. 4.1 points per game. You had, which is really fucking good. That means I got it some hauls off my bench probably. Yeah. You had 13 auto subs, 2.2 points per game.
That sounds like me. Yep.
Jack had 6 auto subs. I don't know how he only had 6. That's crazy. Injury luck.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, he's top 10. He's top 10.
Yeah, come on.
1.6 points per auto sub for Jack, but it doesn't even matter. And then Derek also 14 auto subs for 3.3. So and I don't even think we bench wank anymore. I don't have the energy to bench wank anymore.
I don't do it anymore.
I don't care anymore. It's for young, dumb, full of cum, not us. And so that is 14 times where I thought I had a guy playing. I thought I had a nailed guy in my 11. And they surprise, I'm out for the fucking season, or surprise, I'm illness or whatever.
And I mean, dude,
that's bad.
That's
player
almost every other week. Almost every other week, basically.
It's crazy.
It's really high. So that
that more than a third of the season. Yeah. That's so nuts.
And that feels that is what is kind of happening. With surprise emissions, surprise this, surprise that, surprise the other thing. So I mean, I do feel next year, more than ever, I'm going to make sure throughout the season to have a good 8th attacker.
Yeah.
Just sitting, whether I'm rotating actively between spots or just someone who's good, that I feel that's just the way the game's going, that you should play that way.
Yeah, the rotation was something I think you brought up last post-mortem. We definitely neither of us did it at all this season, but rotating with the idea of like, I have a, say, 6 million-ish mid or 6 million forward and a 5-5 mid, something like that, who are both kind of good, and I can rotate them in home games. I think there's something there too, but you would kind of
so
need
much harder.
Yeah, you would need it to line up with not only two guys with home aways kind of rotating, but also two guys you like, which is hard.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to really pigeonhole the home away split. They would have to have two players that are the right price bracket.
Yeah.
It's just, for that to line up feels a little bit too difficult. I think it's more just have 8 good ones and just be open-minded and flexible about benching, Son at City or whatever, or whoever you have at a bad fixture. If your 8th guy has a good one, like, to just do that more, I think is the way to go.
It also, like, it will prevent bad transfers and prevent hits that are unnecessary, which is really hard to like wrap your head around and put a number value on. But like, if you just say, I'm going to subtract 3 or 4 hits from my team, or 3 or 4 free transfers that I would have definitely used, but don't have to use because of the extra 1 million I'm spending on my bench. I mean, that's got to be worth it. That just has to be worth it, I think.
Yeah, it's just hard. I mean, you can't do this and say this is definitely going to happen because it definitely might not happen. So it's just hard to quantify it.
Yeah. It might happen 0 times in the first 10 game weeks, and you're like, why am I paying for this player on my bench when I didn't get this other guy who's more expensive and better? It's it's a tough one.
Yeah. So Palace? I mean, next one is Palace. I mean, we've been talking about them a lot the last few episodes, but
yeah, I feel like we don't even need to add to it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to me, one interesting thing is because I've been watching every minute of every game since Glasner came in, and you have very much not been doing that.
Yeah.
What are you like? What are you? You hear me talk like a fucking crazy person about them, but like, what are you thinking about Palace? Like, in seeing them, how much you have? Like, what's your view?
Let's talk as if they keep everyone on the team next season, because that's obviously a huge factor, and we don't know what the fuck is going to happen. But if they're going in with this 11, or add Decore, or whatever, it's basically the same important FPL relevant players going into next season. I think Munoz, Elise, and Eze are just nailed at my team, and that would obviously mean I'm excluding Mateta, who just came off a quad return, and I think is good, and I think is playing well, and I also think is in the hottest ever finishing form of his life that will not continue. But you have to choose one, right? So in the end, he's just my least favorite of 4 good picks. And because I've always loved Eze and think really, really highly of him, and especially for FPL. I think Elise is just like another level, the best prospect on the team, the highest value player on the team. And Munoz, I mean, it's partially because I also just like the defense, think he's going to be underpriced, think he's going to be 4-5. We just talked about how
value is too high.
Exactly.
Right?
We just talked about there's no good defenders in the game, really, and he's really attacking and good. So that's where I'm kind of at. But yeah, I mean, I'm not much lower on them than you are, which is kind of scary that we're both going into this as just like, they ended the season like crazy and we're both super high, and I hope they start as well as we think they're going to start, because we're both super, super, super high on them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough with Mateta because, I mean, I imagine Elise and Eze will probably be like 7-5, 7, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. But I mean, Mateta, they should all kind of be the same price. I know you always
Mateta's
are
5 million game week 1 this year.
I mean, well, he was didn't start for a long time.
He's been bad.
He's been bad and hasn't started. But I mean, I have a really hard time with Mateta because I know you like to talk about the shooting and the finishing stats, that they're like very high and very unsustainable, and I agree with that for sure. He's not going to fucking score 50 goals next year.
Yeah,
but dude, he takes his hold-up play, his creativity, the types of goals he scores, his movement. He has everything. Like, he has it all. I mean, he's very similar to me, like kind of like Solanke. with maybe like a little bit more composure in the box.
Yeah,
And-
Solanke is historically a very bad finisher, and it seems like Mateta, even when he just gets one shot, he gets like that one huge chance, he just tucks it away.
Yeah. And I mean, he's cool. Like, he's cool there. Like, when he's in there, like, he fucking chills. Like, he does the thing. But leaving one of these 4 players out is going to be really hard because they all have a lot just to go for them.
It will come down to replacement level, I think, between the guys, right? Like, what forwards are we going to like and how expensive are they going to be? Might be like, well, Mateta's just better and cheaper. And what mids are we going to like and want? And yada, yada, yada might dissuade us from another one.
Elise, I think, is the number one non-negotiable for me, though, assuming fitness.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like he's still top of the power ranking. Still more Eze for me, but a lot of that is like baggage I'm coming from earlier in the season, but also a lot of that is Pens. I think the Pens are, just
we should win at least 7 a year
in the Zaha type of way. It's like these are tricky guys in the butt. Even if fucking Jayu gets the occasional game, how does Jayu never win Pens? Because he's never in the box.
He
gets fouled in outer space. I answered my own question, but like maybe Glasner will make him go to the box, force him at fucking gun to his head. You have to get in the box, or you're not going to play for me. But yeah, there should be Pens in this team, especially if they're playing as well as they've just played in the last like 10 games, and Eze could just score a lot of Pens.
I don't know. I honestly, I feel like Munoz might miss the boat. I don't know.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, because he also might surprise be 5 million. I mean, FPL does weird stuff with prices. That wouldn't be that crazy. And then it's like, I don't really want to go like Gehi 4-5 again. Like we started this season.
He might be gone, but
just as an example of someone with like he has no attacking potential, like low bonus potential.
Well, I don't think
like
the price.
3 attackers who are very good.
I mean, I don't think him being 5 would be the reason why I don't get him. It would just be like, I don't think he's going to get as many points as he like. Dude, Mateta just got 20. Like he got 13, 16.
20s. He gets 20s for fun.
Actual for fun. I mean, he looks every game. I mean, so does Munoz. Like, again, I've said this on record. Like they all, so that'll be one to a bridge to cross. And the fixtures will play a part. I mean, maybe we have a few extra aways or something in the beginning, and then it'll be a little less good for cleans or something like this. But
right.
The idea of Mateta like turning into a pumpkin is ridiculous to me because he did play extraordinarily well for a really long time every game. Like once Glasner got there and we started Boisin all over the place, he was just unplayable. And I imagine him just continuing to do that. Like he wasn't a cheap buy.
No,
like,
I know.
He was
we talked about
and,
he was a prospect before. Yeah,
and he just came into it and he's enjoying himself and he tucks his shirt in and backheels all over the place with all of the other players backheeling all over the place, and it's just work. It just looks beautiful. So
yeah. I mean, it's maybe I'm just slow to adjust. I'm always waiting in, and I think it's usually right to do this. There's unlimited exceptions, and that'll go on for eternity. But I think usually waiting in history gives you better sort of like predictions of the future. And he went many years, not just on Palace, also with Mines, of being like just a pretty bad striker who is a bad finisher and could barely get shots off, to just, a god, an actual fucking god amongst humans.
But I've seen every minute he's played since we bought him. Like, and I used to shit on him. Like, and
hated him.
and like, I'm not like a fair weather fan. Like, he's legit.
I know.
Like he's legit.
I hear you.
I hear you. Yeah. But like you also, like when you watch strikers is like, I feel like with him is like the polar opposite is like Ndot, where it's like you have all the, or Timo, like you have all the time in the world for these players that can't hit a fucking broadside of a barn,
get big chances,
but get the chance, like underlying merchants of just being fast, or in this team situation or whatever. And like that's what you prefer that.
Yeah,
So this
I
is
do. I
also
do.
different where, Mateta is sort of starting to be that a little bit because we have a month or so of creating a lot, but underlyingly, like, he's a 9, we're not doing these crazy counterattacking shit.
Yeah, I mean, he had some games, Luton game, 4 shots, 1.1 XG, Liverpool, 3 shots, 1.2 XG, West Ham, 3 shots, 2 goals, 0.8 XG.
The also not pictured are the offs, like, he's fucking offsides a lot.
Yeah.
Darwin-esque. So
yeah. And then he just had also in this run of being a god, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games where he had 1 shot total. He gets subbed off a lot. He gets scoring in those games with 1 shot, scoring just kind of worldies, like really bad chances that he's scoring.
He only was getting subbed off because we had so many fixtures, though.
Yeah, I guess so. But historically, he's always been a fucking I'm dead by terrible. 70 minutes. Yeah.
But it doesn't look like that is the case anymore as much.
So ignore that part. But the 1 shot, no big chances, scoring worldies, that's kind of where I'm like dubious. It's not that I think he's bad. I think he's good. And I think the hold up stuff is probably honestly underrated because all he's really done is score goals, and he probably deserves more assists for when he plays 1-2s with Eze and 1-2s with Elise, and he looks really good in those moments. But I'm scared of those games where it's just like that could so easily be 1 shot, 0 goals. Sure. And I'm like, why do I have this player who's bad? And like that's
I could have Solanke instead.
Yeah, exactly. Dom, great player. Fucking Dom. I had him so many games this week.
All right.
Season.
So Palace.
Yeah, that's boxed.
Lot to go. Boxed Palace. So next note is regarding Cold Palmer. What to do about Cole Palmer? Auto price doesn't matter. What to make of Chelsea, just generally.
Unheard of season from him.
Yeah, I mean, what are we up to here with this guy? Like
244 points.
I mean, do you think
and he started 29 games?
Yeah, 9.5.
I think
based on the new pricing of being low. Do you think they'll pump? I mean, based on the low pricing last year, you think he might go
244 points?
Well, didn't Saka get over 200 and he was 8.5 this year?
He had 202 in 37 games, and Palmer's 244 games in 29 starts.
Yeah, so like 10 on the nose could happen.
Maybe 10.
You think? Done. Is there? I mean, what do you? Is he just like don't swim against the current with him, and just see how it falls after a few weeks?
Yeah, I think he's just in the team.
Yeah.
It's basically impossible for them to overprice him, I think, because he's coming from such a low point. They're not going to just make him 12.5, which might be his actual number. And that works in his favor. Obviously he had a lot of pens, and that's ridiculous. And Ben, whatever. You can't account for it. Even with Mudryk and Raz and Dot and guys who might win pens, 9 is still just a fucking absurd number.
Yeah, 9 is
But
even if he got 4 less, which is reasonable, he's still shitting out points.
Shitting points for fun. He some of the things that I look for that would be alarming are like someone just finishes out of their skin crazy. He didn't. He's 1.9 over his XG, like totally normal. Even if he is average XG, that's fine. And his XA also didn't overperform it, not even by 0.1. Just level on his expected goals assisted to his assists. Totally normal, just good. Eye test, incredible player. Team, getting better. And Cuckoo, probably 5th game week 1. Who knows who else they're going to buy. I just think he is that like magical type of situation where it's just like, I think he actually is this good.
Yeah. I mean, he could be the new just inaugural 200 plus point player in FPL, taking over Mo or something.
Yeah.
Or like Alexis. Like he could be one of the, I mean, he's not like a slashy, like shooting kind of returner, but I mean, he has so many ways to get points.
So many
goals.
So many goals, and he's so young.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's also just eye test too, right? I mean, he is just fucking incredible. Like some of I think the sickest moments of the season, just off the top of my head, were him just doing 5 amazing things in one move and then finishing it. It was just like
nutmeg,
what?
drag, like dribble,
1, 2,
shoot from
back
the
heel, finish. It's insane. But just on the most basic level, and which is, there's one really funny outlier in this. Just non-penalty XG plus XA per 90, the most basic stat. Kevin, best in the league. Then Mo, Holland, Darwin, Brennan Johnson, which is just fucking historic that he's on this list. Isak, Cole Palmer. So like, even if you're just like, reset, I don't remember what happened last season. Let me look next season and see who the best players in the league are. He also makes that list, right? He literally checks every single box there is. And So great pick. Great pick.
All right.
Brennan Johnson. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's we can't touch on that one today. But so with Chelsea, just generally, I mean, they good couple months.
Yeah.
Some
finished decently.
Yeah, some of the things were starting to fit together, and Kunku coming back, like you mentioned, which should add a lot of dynamism to their attack and a lot of variability. Also, addition by subtraction by not having play Mudryk anymore.
Oh my God. Amazing.
I mean, is there more? I mean, Palmer, yes, I agree with you. It just feels like you want to just put him in, don't overthunk that spot.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there more to Chelsea next year, game week 1, like that we need to look at, or pick like any picks that you're like, oh, like this guy could crack it, or
well,
like,
listen,
not really?
I mean, Gusto's nailed game weeks 1 through 3 with the Reese red. Maybe he gets the team. Maybe he's cheap again, even though I doubt he will be. He's one of those guys who's good on bones, good attacking. So maybe it's him. I haven't really put too much thought into Gusto because he was so annoying at the end of the year.
I mean, their defenders should be 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, you would think, but I just also feel like, like big 6 price hike kind of thing where they're just not going to be. But, all season stats people have been like, Chelsea are fine, and they're sitting in fucking 10th, 11th, 12th. Their underlines were good all year. And then they end the season totally fine. And I think it was like a pretty productive, good year for Poch's first season, and 6 changes to their starting 11, or however many changes there were. So, in general, I don't know if there's a specific pick that I'm interested in.
Okay.
More so just I think it's real, and I think they're good, and I believe in the team. And that was like a hard sell 2 months ago, I think, to believe in anyone other than Palmer.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is Bumo. Depending on what they do in the market. Also depending if they hold on to the manager, but Brentham, that was a mistake, I think. Well, did you had Bumo game week 1?
No, I had Wissa.
You had Wissa.
No Bumo.
I mean, I had neither. I mean, that was a mistake from both of us. I mean, he came in with 7, 16, 2, 8, 2, and then he had a couple blanks, and 14, 13 a little bit after that for a few people who held faith there. But it was a little penalty aided. It was also a little bit Purvis related, like injury time related. But Tony's going to be gone. If Brentham keeps hold of Frank and just gets Henry back and just gets back to full fitness, I expect them to kind of go back to where they were more 2 seasons ago than they were this past season.
Me too.
And Bumo just feels like another overthonk if you don't have him, right?
Yeah, I had notes on this, so I was saving them until when you brought it up. But I mean, this was just a inexcusable mistake, I think, by both of us, honestly.
It was contrarian to be contrarian.
I had my notes on this, and this is from fucking August, by the way. My notes are, he's in all my first drafts, like all of my tinkers. He was also in last season's post-mortem. And yet we managed to both talk ourselves out of him, which is just pretty difficult to have done. I don't know what to say. Just a huge mistake. Great pick. He had a pen in game week 1 and 2, so it's tilting, obviously. But then he didn't have another pen until game week 15. He was just good. He was good. He was cheap. He was
Doesn't get subbed.
Doesn't get subbed.
Yeah,
One of the
he's-
highest point scores in the game.
Yeah. Underlings, set pieces. Like, I mean, it's annoying sometimes when they tactically like flex him out to the wing, but he's always on the pitch, and he's still really young, even though it feels like he's fucking, because of his beard or whatever, it feels like he's fucking old as shit. But it's going to be hard for me not to have him in my Game Week 1 team next year.
I completely agree. And
yeah,
I think that I was very on an island. Maybe you'll remember better than me with owning Mo in Game Week 1.
you are.
But
Sure.
the highest point scorers in the game weeks 1 through 15, which is right before he got injured and missed months, were in order: Mo, Holland, Ali, Son, Saka, Bumo.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Holland, Ali, Saka, and Bumo were basically in every template team. So they're just holding these guys, never making a move. Son was 100%. In both teams because he was worthless on the left wing before he moved to striker, and everyone eventually bought him. And Salah, I got right, and everyone else got wrong. So I was one of very few teams who had him. It's just inexcusable. There's nothing else to say. We didn't listen. I need to listen back to our own postmortems and just be like, you fucking idiot, and just do that thing. That's so obvious. Yeah.
I mean, he ticked every box, and it was just like,
ticked every box.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah, fucked it. Next one, Leon Bailey.
Yeah, I've spent no time thinking about him, to be honest. So talk to me.
I think about him.
He had a fucking amazing season.
Really odd and unusual season, but just under the radar, cheap performer. I think 5-5. This isn't like Leon Bailey's a good Game Week 1 pick. He's not. Like, they're going to be in Europe. They're going to add to the squad. It's going to be more confusion there. But I think there's just warning signs under the hood here where, maybe this is the kind of player that we're like too late or too unresponsive to when they're really good options. I mean, he had a tough like beginning career at Villa, but he was getting subbed playing early in the season, but he was like really good on the pitch when he was playing. Like the Everton game, he had a goal and an assist. Game week 2, like he wasn't nailed or didn't nail himself for a while, but we knew he was a high money transfer from Leverkusen from Germany, and Diaby was there at the same time. They were kind of cannibalizing each other. Diaby fell away, and then all of a sudden, Bailey had like 3 months or so where he was just playing every game week, and he just returned at a phenomenal rate from like game week, 9 to
14.
30.
Oh yeah,
something.
9. He still wasn't starting in 9, but yeah, in 14 he started starting the majority of games.
Yeah. I mean, he had a couple months where he was starting every game, but it was dodgy because they were playing on Thursday a lot. So it was just tough. But I think it's just looking more at like, this is like a winger who is an open play danger. Like he's the danger man, like watching them play. Like Ollie's just running down the middle, doing his little movements. But like a lot of games, Bailey was just taking over and he was their attack. Yeah. And, he was in very, very few teams throughout the course of the season. And, there might have been, circumstances with like whether it was Thursday games or minutes or this or that
it's always minutes, I think, right? Like if either Diaby or Bailey were nailed, I think they would have been in teams. And the fact that neither was nailed made neither of them in teams. But maybe the thing we should flag is just like...
But I think it's more the type of player.
But Diaby was great too, like there were a lot of people... He was great
for like a month.
Yeah, there were a lot of people jumping on Diaby early because he was more striker-y than Ollie.
The first few games he was really good, and then he was just bad for the rest of the season.
I mean, he still had a brace of assists in game week 7, goal assists in game week 10, assists in 12, assists in 14. He still was returning at a really good rate based on his minutes. Yeah. And then he just like was no longer starting regularly. Bailey was getting all the returns. Like if you combine their points, they're the best pick in the game, right? But there's no way to do that. So I think almost the lesson to learn here is just like maybe one of them will be nailed next season and then we need to get that player or something like that. Or maybe waiting till an injury or waiting till a suspension, then we get the player. I don't know.
I don't know. I was thinking less of the specific these players, but more of just like the idea of a winger danger man who's cheap, like where we have like a Dingra, right? Where he's not getting FPL points, but you watch Brighton play and, you know, there's a, I don't know what, maybe it was February. Like you watch them for a month, you watch a few of their games, it's just like, oh, this is their best player by a lot. And you know,
Dinger's not the fucking donger though that these guys are.
No. But you know, I mean, just these kind of guys who just no one has in their team. Like maybe it's like a Bobby De Cordova Reed month or something. Like I don't know. You know, these kind of players on these teams are like maybe it's on. You know, Wolves play some fucking teenager who's just like doing shit.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I feel like these kind of guys like we don't like go for enough.
And honestly, I don't think it's a mistake, right? Like I think more often than not, you'd just be like annoyed if you're starting Bailey in your team every week. He gets subbed at 60 or he plays 15 or whatever. But maybe this is the exact type of guy we should be going for our eighth attacker in the earlier conversation.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I don't really give a shit how many minutes Leon Bailey or Diaby or, you know,
he could
someone
pop
else
up with
plays.
a haul or
he can
whatever.
double return in any game.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. He's safe.
And I'm not stressing over who to start, who to bench.
Yeah, I'm just benching him every game because he's not nailed. I don't know.
Yeah, that's chat worthy.
Yeah, Emery doing a great job. It'll be really interesting to see how they reinforce.
I just feel like this idea of just having like these under the radar like cheap mid, like they priced mids like insane this year with how many cheap midfielders there were.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, they released the game earlier, so they're more prone to mistakes from doing that. Like, you know, whether it's either Rice or Rodri or whomever, right? Doug, like there are just like a lot of sub 6 million midfielders. Gibbs White, like, you know, I don't know where he's going to be next year. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of guys there.
Yeah. Doug Luiz is not to go on too much of a tangent, but like,
that's all that we're doing.
That's all the whole episode. Yeah, it's true. That there's the Rice, Rodri, you know, Bruno G ends up on 153, JWP as usual, MGW, all these guys kind of ended up in the same way. And this is just reinforcing my point of earlier that like long term just does not matter because no one's holding Rice, no one's holding Rodri, no one's holding Bruno G, JWP, all these guys. You're never just doing that unless they're, you know, first on your bench or something. But there was a point in the season when Villa had an insane fixture run and all the fucking analytics robot people were just on Doug Luiz. And, you know, against Sheffield, Man United, Burnley, Sheffield again, NFO, Luton, Spurs, all these bad defenses, he fucking hauled ass. And he got some pens and he was great. And then they all got rid of him.
Yeah.
Everything in this game exists in like 4 to 8 game week fixture runs, and that's sort of like what you just need to target. And it's just hard. I don't know.
You just need to layer them all together to be a perfect circle.
Next
one, new managers avoid game week 1 ? Liverpool ? It's just kind of looking at this idea of, you know, how much risk do you want to incur for game week 1 when, you know, we're going to have these little preseason, we're going to get all the sound bites of, oh, so-and-so so good and everyone's so happy and this and that. But, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, stability and the Premier League, right? Like that plays so much. And, you know, we have like someone like Slot coming in and, you know, De Zerbi's leaving and, you know, we're going to have this manager upheaval, you know, as we always do.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do we put into that for our game week 1 picks of like?
Well, who were the new ones this year? Let's start there, right?
Poch, Ange.
Well, outside of
Disaster.
Palmer. Yeah,
well, Disaster. But go back to game week 1.
Yeah, right.
Disaster
Game week 1. You know, even though we all went for Chilwell, and then a bunch of people went for Endot, and then eventually everyone on Palmer once he started starting, which wasn't until game week 7. Ange, not a disaster at all. You know, Rich was bad, but I think we made the right call and they played well. Amato was good and Sun was good. Yada yada.
Bournemouth started off really, really rough.
They did, but not their FPL picks. And Dom was. They lost like every fucking game, but
they didn't
Dom was
win
just returning.
until game week 10.
Yeah, but Dom was 7, 5, 2, 7, 2, 6. He returned 4 out of the first 6.
Yeah, that's good.
So that was fine. Gary O'Neill, they were good early.
They were good.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe it's just bounce.
Yeah, maybe it's actually get all the Liverpool players, all the Brighton players. Yeah.
Until the league gets the book and then they adjust and it's like a game week 8.
Right.
Nosedive.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it is more just like you have to take each case contextually from the new managers just because it's a lot of new information and we have to kind of synthesize and process it accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, the Ange one is interesting because in hindsight, right, like there was so much hype. Everyone was freaking out about this team because they win like 10-0 in China or something.
Yep.
Right? And it was just like, yeah, I guess, their guys are cheap. I guess I'll get their attackers. It had nothing to do with us being like, I think Spurs are amazing and their players are all amazing. It was just like literally preseason hype. They were the right price. Rich was out of position starting striker. Was like, okay, yeah. Matto is usually good in FPL. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of how it was.
And it kind of worked, So maybe there's like more to preseason than we're giving credit, or we just got lucky with Ange.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. But I mean, also just touching on Liverpool, I mean, alluded to Trent earlier. I mean, Trent came in this year at 8.5.
So high.
Or 8. He was 8. I mean, he should probably go back down to 7.5, what he typically has been. Because
I'm surprised he was 8. Well, I have absolutely no recollection of him going up to 8.6, which happened this season. Game week 25, he was up to 8.6 from 8.
I mean, it's just Trent. It's so good.
Yeah, it's good. He just went on a fucking stormer starting game week 9.
Yeah, he had a few games where he was just hauling ass, and then
6, 5, 2, 7, 8, 13, 12, 4, 9, 5, 8.
Yeah, but he looked
injured.
like, he's the best player in the game again, and everyone just got him in. But I mean, if he comes back in at 7.5 again, it's pretty juicy, I think.
Yeah, it's honestly very, very juicy. Yeah, I mean, he's still, just dominates bones and, open play, scoring and assisting potential like no other defender we've ever seen.
He's not a defender.
Yeah, he's just not a defender. There was, I mean, this is more preseason, I think, next year, like getting into slot. I haven't even gotten stuck in yet at all. But there was some talk on Anfield Wraps of just like, like the idea of like a free roll. Like it always sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
Like it sounds like, I'm talking about this fucking sex machine. Oh, he's in a free roll. He can do whatever he wants. But like most of the best players in the last 20 years don't have free rolls. They have very specific roles that they do to the best level, like, so that's kind of a big decision for Slot is like, is he a right back at all? And if he's a right back, do you want him wide and crossing like he used to be? Or is he not a right back? Is he a deep midfielder? Is he a fucking number 10? So like there's a lot of variability of like where Trent plays and like, how nailed he'll be in our teams and the price.
One thing is though that I know is I love him so much. So
I love him so goddamn much.
It won't take much for me to put him on my team. I will tell you that right now.
Which is another one of your things, right? You were saying, do you do what you love, get who you love? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. I mean, I put in, I mean, that was one of my big regrets of the season. No, I mean, I don't care about him, but I didn't have Odegaard all year. I don't think I had him for one game all year.
I got a fucking mega haul from him in game week 34 double.
Did you? Okay, good for you. Good job by you. I mean, maybe I had him for a free hit or something. I don't know, but I mean, like, I fucking love it. Like, I love him. I love watching him. I love everything about him. I love him. And I should have him in my team. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm putting in fucking Son, who I hate. Like, that's stupid, like he doesn't get points anyway, So yeah, I mean, getting in the players that you love, get your guys. Like, I was doing that a lot more this year. Like, I had Kevin forever, and that was mixed results. I should have had Foden. The receipt did not cash on that one, but yeah.
And Odegaard ended the season so well too. He had six double-digit hauls last 14 game weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he nearly hit 200. Played every minute, and I think he left points on the table. Like, he left a few goals on the table, and and also, like, watching him is he just keeps improving. Like, whatever he wants him to do, whatever he's asking him to do. Like, I don't know. He's in and around 200 points, and I love him, and he makes me happy. So I'm not going to really get too fucked. And he's always fit. He's a monster.
Yeah, the thing that I'm trying to take away from this, and you'll probably be able to put it in better words than me, but like, I feel like the upside of getting players you hate is really low, and the downside of getting players you love is also really low. So just get players you love, because like the upside of getting someone you hate who may be a good pick is like they're hauling all the time and doing well in your FPL team, but like, how good is that? How good is having someone you don't like who's hauling? It's okay.
It's fine.
It's pretty good. It's like I like green arrows, and eventually everyone else will own this player because they're hauling, and then it won't even be good. It'll just be, well, these points don't even fucking matter because everyone owns them.
It'll be neutral. Like,
it'll be neutral. It'll go from like pretty good to okay to neutral.
Yeah, I mean, Endot's like the example here, where it's like,
incredible.
You got 16 haul against Western. Like, that feels good. What is he straddling that with? 2, 2, 5, 6, 2, 2, 2. It's like, I could have gotten that I could have gotten that from Cunha. I could have gotten that from fucking anyone. It's like, okay, so there's 1 week where maybe I leave a few points on the board, and then I have 6 weeks of my life where I'm just happy.
That's basically what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
so the upside is low, as we just covered. The downside of getting someone you hate is they might be a terrible pick, and then you're really mad. Then you're mad that you ever got them. Yeah. You're fucking mad at yourself. You're self-loathing, self-hatred. You're immediately transferring them out because you fucking hate them and they're bad. Magic wombo combo of that. Yep. You just ripping them out of your team, probably taking a hit, and you're mad that you made a mistake and didn't get the guy you love who is better anyway. Whereas if you always get the player you love, if they're bad, it's kind of but I love him.
It's okay.
It's you with fine. Kev. It's like I should have got Foden, but like
he
got some points.
Yeah,
I lost points in the end. He still got an assist. Not that bad, but I should have gotten the other guy in hindsight. Yeah. Whereas the upside of getting someone you love is just I'm erect for 24 hours and you can see a doctor immediately.
You captain him for the might start.
You captain him for the might start. You fly. Everyone in Discord's jerking you off because your captain's flying and you're the best. And Cole makes a gif all about you and you're world famous. God. I'm sold, dude. Only get players you love.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big one.
It really is. I mean, it is. If you're playing for points, playing for pure rank, like, you're listening to the wrong pod to begin with. Yeah. But if you're playing a game for fun, which is what this game is supposed to be, because it's a fucking stupid ass game with bad rules, then you should try and have fun. I think try and get something out of it.
Speaking of picking players on teams and players you like, Everton. So. Don't like anything about them, but the 4-5 defender spot looks pretty rock solid.
And the keeper.
The keeper's going to be...
Is he going to be 5?
Yeah, it's going to be 5 for sure.
He'll be 5, yeah.
He won't be in any team, but DCL is my bigger question mark, because...
I was shocked to see DCL on your notes when you sent me your notes.
We used to love him.
We
loved him when we were the only ones that had him in our teams, and he scored 1 million goals, and that was phenomenal.
Yes.
I still feel like there's a player in there. Like, I watch them, and he just, like, is sort of abject and fucks everything up, and the ball like pinballs off of his limbs.
He loves to do that.
Yeah, but like I feel like he's just going to be underpriced next year, and that he's really bad at pens, but he still has them. Like, I just feel like he's got like a 15 goal season in him again. Is that nuts? Like, is that crazy or what? What are you? I feel like DCL's a pick, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, he could be a pick. I think he'll be very bolstered with a good fixture run. If Everton really have good fixture runs, but they kind of do. If they have some promoted sides, some home games, whatever. I mean, the bottom line with DCL is he still gets chances. He still gets big chances. It's just, along with the injury luck that's been horrendous, the last 2 seasons, he's been the worst finisher in the league. This season and last season.
Yep.
He was never a good finisher, but he wasn't that bad. The year he finished with 16 goals, he was a little under his XG. The year he finished with 13 goals, he was 2.3 under his XG, which is kind of a lot, but it's not the worst in the league.
Well, it's also a lot of his chances are headers, which is...
Yes. And, as we like to say, headers aren't big chances, so that, maybe disregard what I just said. But I think that finishing is interesting in a lot of ways. It feels like this weird fucking fairy dust that we know nothing about still. Like Haaland went from 29 non-penalty goals last season, best finisher in the league, to 20 goals, very under his XG, kind of a bad finisher this year. So the fact that the one season in soccer is still a small sample size, which is true, means that we just need DCL to go from worst in the league to kind of average, get a couple pens, don't get injured all the time, and that's 12. That's all it takes. He
finishes on 180.
He had 5 non-penalty goals this year, and he was even in his limited minutes, he was 6.2 under his XG.
Yeah.
So if that's just DCL, close to average, that's 11 goals in 24 90s.
Dude, I like the stock. Yeah.
I mean, there's certainly something to, I think this is like maybe a more preseason thing, and maybe I'll do a pretty graph for it, but I think there's something to just straight up basics. I mean, this is like a baseball thing that, BABIP or whatever you want to say. Is like some people who are way over finishing, maybe caution. People who are way under finishing, maybe interesting. Look at fucking Martinelli. Perfect example, right? Like 15 non-penalty goals, insanely hot finishing, never been a good finisher, goes back to normal this year, and and some injuries and rotation, down to 6 goals, useless in 0 teams. Joke.
Yep.
And it worked in the reverse in a lot of guys too. And Bowen was really under his XG last year, flying this year, hot finisher all season. So it's not everyone, obviously, but there's it's like an asterisk to put on a guy.
Yeah,
that like they are capable of turning it around with a little luck, I think.
Yeah, DCL pick.
Yeah, DCL. What's he going to be priced? He scored.
He can't be more than 6.5
points.
Yeah,
he was 6 this year. I don't think he's going up. Is he?
It's hard to say what they want to do. I know, but it's hard to say what they're going to do with all their price. They're so stupid with the pricing. Like there's no the.
They are very stupid with the pricing.
The prediction's crazy. I mean, he could be 5.5. I wouldn't be surprised at that either. But
yeah, because like you look at, I'm just like sorting forward by total points, right? Like João Pedro was 5.5 this year.
Yeah.
DCL was 6. Mooney's obviously was 4.5. Like that's like, what are all these guys going to be? I don't really know. Promoted strikers are usually between 5.5 and 6.
5 and 6. Yeah. I mean, I think like usually it's around 6.5. Like the bottom 6 teams that stay in, the strikers are like 6.5 or so. So,
which is also, that's like another feather in DCL's cap, because Everton have the perception of being like a, fighting for relegation, but like that's just not true at all this year. I mean, they had
they
6 points deducted, and they're just like a solid team, and Dyche is a good manager.
Yeah.
So they're not that bad. Yeah. I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. Adebayo, question mark?
Well, he's on Luton.
He's not going to be on Luton
He's not
for
in the
long.
league.
He's not going to be on Luton for long, but
he was great, man. He was great.
He's a legit player.
Oh my God. He's
where he goes
fucking good. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he goes interest will follow. That's all, all I'll say for that.
I agree.
Game week 1 bench boost. I'm like pretty committed to trying this out this year just to see what happens. I mean, we talked earlier about just like the idea of starting early, like early, and I've never done that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it would be hard to not start early if you're game week 1 bench boosting where you get like an extra 10 points to the field. So I was wondering also, just from like a psychological standpoint of like, if you're doing well from game week 5, like how that affects your decision or your choices. Yeah. Which is like, you can't name it or quantify it, but
yeah, that is interesting.
Like, I know that I fucking tilt monkey all over the place. Like when I'm 2 million, like I'm hitting in, anybody I want, anybody you can convince me into anybody. But like the idea of just like kind of backing up of like the 8th attacker and like these 4 or 5 defenders and all this kind of squad based rhetoric of just putting it to practice and, just going for the game week 1 bench boost when, you're going to have a good idea of who's playing where and when and who's fit and who's not fit and, just burning the chip, just getting rid of it.
What I had in my head when I saw your notes on this was I think I would modify it to bench boost either game week 1 or the week after either wild card.
Yeah.
I think it has to be like based on just look at my fucking team. I wildcarded. I set up. I actually set up for the bench boost, and then I just had injuries and just got fucking annihilated. And had to minus 12.
which is why I don't like doing it after the wild card, because then you're committing to like the second keeper and these defenders and this guy, where it's like for one game week when it's like, I don't know anything game week 1. And
I see what you're saying.
I'm happy to wild card by game week 4.
A shorter amount of time if you do it game week 1. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think the counter, it's not even a counter, it's just something to consider, I think, is like, how does it affect your team construction? Right? Because we never put the 0.5 on the second keeper in game week 1. How does that affect the rest of your team? Like you're probably not gonna have a promoted team 4-0 defender either if you're bench boosting game week 1. You also might, like a trap that you might fall into is just get someone because they have a home banker in game week 1 and you don't even really like the pick, but you just want your bench boost to look nice.
Yeah.
And
it's
the
fixtures. We'll have to see the fixtures.
Like, I don't know if any of these things are actually bad. I think restrictions might help us because they might just make us like, well, I'm not going to like fall into that trap. It might narrow the scope of like, I can't get this guy. He's just out of my, like, forget about him. Yeah. I'm not even going to consider the guy that seems cool and just get the guys that I know that I want, or it might hurt the team. Hard to say, but I have no problem with it at all. I mean, who fucking flew with their bench boost this year? I feel like it was such a sham.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone gets like 12 points. It's just like, when do you get it?
When do you get it, and how much of the rest of your team are you sacrificing? Yeah. Like how many fucking slab heads and Burns and, Petrovic's and Vicarios are you wedging into your team just for 1 week when they all fucking suck?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and to me with the chips is like, it stresses me out. Like, it makes me like unhappy and I don't like it. So, I mean, I might even just like triple cap game week 2. Like, I don't care.
If there's a banker.
Yeah, like I don't really care that much about it. So,
I mean, Holland starts every season with like a couple hat tricks, right?
Yeah, first
just
month
hit
he
one
has
of
a hat
them
trick somewhere. Yeah.
All
right, so next one is a Fulham centric note. I felt like Fulham was just a really odd one this year because they were very rarely talked about because they were so unremarkable. And they didn't have any like real standout picks, and they didn't go through any like periods of time where they were just world beaters, but they were very solidly, stably, lower half, just fine. And Milv had some good performances, and they had some good games, and they're a very old squad, very aging squad. But Muniz is definitely a very big interest to me as a takeaway. Just kind of thinking about what price does he have to be for you to want him? Is like 6 million too much? 5.5, 6.5? I don't know, but
right.
But what do you see with Fulham in general?
Yeah, I mean, I hated them last season because they were just so fraudulent with pens. They led the league, I think, in pens and led the league in red cards against. It was just like, what the fuck is going on? I was just praying they got relegated, but in the end they were okay, and they got it done. And Mitrovic I always liked, and then going into this year when they got rid of Mitrovic, I was like, they might be kind of not fine, and Milv just turned them into a very solid mid-table team, like you said, and they were always fine. And they had a bunch of good performances, and Muniz is very interesting. I mean, I'm definitely interested in Muniz. Ticks every box for a striker that I like, except he's not on pens. But if he's cheap enough and they have a run, like, he's probably going to be in my team. I don't know outside of Leno, who is just a haul machine, and like if he's 4-5, like should probably just be the easy pick. Other than him, I just don't know where else to go. The fullbacks are fun. Jedi and Castagna, if they're the fullbacks again, like they do attack. They do get some, attacker returns and some bonus in cleans. And we know Fulham is a very big like home away team. I just, there's no mids, I think odds are I'm either starting with Muniz or Leno or neither.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to find another pick. I mean, we'll have to see what the kind of recruitment they have, but
yeah,
it's just this notion of like, Fulham and, next note I have is like teams that improved and are stable without Europe. Bournemouth fall into this category. I don't know if Fulham improved, like they kind of stagnated, I think maybe, but Bournemouth, Palace certainly. But these teams that just are very solidly going to not get relegated, and not challenge for Europe, and also play one game a week, which is hugely advantageous when there's going to be more Champions League games than ever. I feel like it's in our interest to find players on these teams. It's just going to be so much more consistent, and
maybe this is a 8th attacker or one of our defenders, or a home away rotational kind of guy. Maybe that's what we should be looking for, because they're also with no Europe and yada yada yada. They're also like probably more nailed, right? It's like more of a stable back five. It's more of a stable. There's no reason the forward
stable
not to start every
everything.
game. Yeah, stable everything.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, like Iwobi obviously made them better, and I think he was a really like shrewd purchase. But like I don't even remember anyone else they bought. Bassi and Castagna, but like other than that, they had just Jim and a free transfer of Adama. They had Broya. They had nothing. We need them to like get a midfielder that would be really fun and cool,
an attacking, goal scoring midfielder.
Yeah, like kind of a better version of what Pereira was last season.
That would be cool.
That would be fun. But good solid team. Yeah.
And then I guess the other like teams that are out of Europe that could bounce back with underpriced assets, I bet Man U and Western, maybe. I don't know if Lopetegui's
there.
That
also.
They're
out of Europe, right?
They are, but I'm much less bullish on them bouncing back with, we don't even know who their fucking manager is.
Yeah,
like they have an amalgamation of children and United Nations. Like making that all work is not an easy. It's a tall task to me.
Yeah, their
very
range is really wide.
Yeah, really wide.
But so I honestly, I think West Ham and Man United range is also very wide. To be fair.
Well, West Ham. With Man United, at least, like you expect them to buy one or two players for a lot of money, and they do have, like, if Sancho comes back, like they do have like at least the brass tacks of a good 11.
Yeah.
Like if they could just get a good manager who's not a fucking bald fraud,
I mean, the first thing we need is a firing of one of the worst managers in the league.
I mean,
like that just needs to happen
that's obvious.
immediately.
Yeah, after
it's obvious
the
to
FA,
us, but like
yeah.
players
after
don't.
the
I mean,
FA
teams
Cup loss, that'll happen.
Yeah, probably. I think so.
But I mean, I feel like Man United have the players. Like they're all good. Like to me, Man United defense, like that's what I want next year. I just feel like
to me that depends on manager, right? Like
I don't even think it does that much. Like when you're stacking them up against everyone else, they're all going to be 4-5.
It does to me because of just like stylistically, I mean, it could be De Zerbi, right? Like let's just, like who knows? Like if it's De Zerbi, I'm like, okay,
what's want a 4-5?
What's Højlund's price?
I still want Shaw
what's Bruno's price? I think that the attacking talent to me is a lot more intriguing than the defensive talent. And I don't think like they're going to drop that much. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I just feel like the bounce back ability here based on who they buy in the summer and who the managers is just like could be a very untrendy, like in the community, like people don't have Man United, where it's like this could be a good
absolutely.
Playing one game a week is just.
But Shaw's never been below 5.
Well, fuck Shaw then. Whoever.
No, I'm just using
Martinez.
that was your example. I don't think him, Dallo, or Lissandro are going to be below 5. Like I don't know who their other center back's going to be. They don't have one right now. But like
Evans.
And Onana's not going to draw. Yeah, Evans, Jevons, or fucking Kumbawala. Or
Onana should be 4-5.
He's not going to be. There's no chance.
He should. I mean, 9 cleans, like that's 4 or 5 goalkeeper.
Yeah, but he ended up having a really good season, I would say. He's honestly one of their best players, I think, for the second half of the season. And like, they don't just base it on last year, when they do pricing. And like he's still a 60 million pound transfer. Like they know he's legitimately good. They're not going to put him at 4-5, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have to see what the prices are.
We'll have to see the prices, and we have to see the manager. I mean, for me, the manager still matters a lot. What are we doing if they get Tuchel? I'm going to have Onana and a defender.
Mount straight in.
Mount can fucking die. I can't believe they fucking bought him. Remember when they bought Mason Mount? Oh my God.
It was not that long ago.
But Højlund, like, he came on strong. He had a very solid season for his age. Yeah. And if they get a good attacking manager, and like you said, Sancho's in, and they drop fucking Rashford, and maybe they sell Rashford and put Sancho, Garnacho at the wings, like that would be my dream scenario for Højlund. I'm in. I might have him. But there's another world where they just get Southgate, and fucking it's all fucked, and I'm not having any fucking attacker.
Elise makes a lot of sense for Man United.
Yeah. Although they just spent 100 million pounds on a right winger. Are they going to really just eat that?
Yeah, they should. If
they should
stop finishing in 9th or whatever.
Yeah.
The new Champions League stuff. So more games.
Yeah, I haven't really. What's the format? It's like Swiss now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more group games. It's just more games.
More games.
More games.
That's what every player needs after a season of
games.
Non-stop injuries is more games.
More games. But this, back to the point of the Man United redux, right, is teams that have less games are going to be better in the game, in FPL, game, I think. So just to keep in mind, looking at the
keep
schedule.
That in mind. Yeah.
And then last note, the game week 1 calculated, take out a few picks every year. A few picks that are template are out of every team by game week 3. Who could they be? So just
explain that. What do you mean?
So the notion of like look at this year, right? Game week 1.
Yeah.
Martinelli, Bruno, Rash, Saka, like you're a fucking clown if you don't have all 4 of them.
That's like the preseason talk. Yeah.
They're 8-5. Holy shit.
They
fucked up.
Rich.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Rich is in and around it, but holy fuck, like they fucked up the pricing so bad. Like, how could they have only priced Martinelli and Saka and Bruno and Rash at this price? They don't even have bad fixtures. Blah 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 blah. Game week 4, literally only Saka is a pick of those 4 players. It's not even close. Yeah. And every year that happens. Like every single year. It's like we talked earlier, right? Making allusions of the defense of like Man United with DDG or whatever kind of, where it's like, oh, you got to have like Trent and Robbo, or you got to have like Vidic and fucking Evra. It's like, well, you know what? They suck the next year, and they keep 11 cleans instead of 19, right. And those like 6 million extra that you were spending on those 2 defender spots didn't go too good, and
right.
It's just like looking at the template every single year. There's never a game week 1 template where it's game week 5 and it's like, oh yeah, all of these, like yeah, like we all did a great job, guys.
Right.
It's like at least half of them are just gone, like bombed out to fuckland. And
I'm just looking back at Jack's game week 1 midfield and Derek's game week 1 midfield, right?
Because these are probably what we're saying.
Derek was 15K. Jack finished 30th overall.
It's got to be the same shit.
Jack is a little bit of a nutter, maybe more than we give him credit for. His game week 1 midfield. Okay, he has Rash, Bruno, Saka, Bumo. So those 4.
Rash, Bruno, Saka. That's the midfield. That's the whole midfield.
But number 5, Kai.
Well, it's fucking Jack Lad. Whatever.
But yeah, those are, exactly. He probably used transfers in like game weeks 3, 4, 5, something like that, getting rid of Rashford, getting rid of Bruno, getting rid of Kai and all, etc. Derek also had a good season. These are very conservative players too. Saka.
Well, Jack Lad wasn't always, but go with Derek. Derek, we know Derek is
a slave now, so he doesn't make his own decisions anymore. Derek, Saka, Rashford, okay. Rich, Martinelli, Matoma. The fuck?
That's stock. That's chalk. Matoma was very highly owned game week 1.
Was he?
Oh yeah, because they had those Purvis.
Oh, they had the
same Purvis. Yeah,
I don't remember that. Yeah,
Bruno, Matoma. Like there were 8 or 9 midfielders that everyone picked from.
Rashford, I'm proud of myself for being very off. Like, I did have Bruno, but my midfield is Mo, Rich, Saka, Bruno, and then my flair pick of Jota.
I think I had Rash. Let me see.
Yeah, you had Rash.
Yeah, I'm a sheep.
So Rash is kind of my dodging of Rash this year was kind of exactly what you're talking about in your post-mortem point right here. Whereas like guy who had the best breakout season of his career, who finished way above his XG, yada yada yada, has maybe underpriced. Like I don't know, no. The answer's no for me, Bob.
That's a no for me, dog.
So who could that be? You want to like pull out some predictions? I mean, is this Palmer? Are we just running into Palmer trap?
Well, I mean, it could be.
Could be Palmer, Foden.
It definitely could be. Well, Foden. Yeah, I mean, we haven't touched on Foden, but yeah, I don't think he's really a pick. I mean, Watkins.
Yeah, could be Ollie.
Yeah,
could be Dom. Dom's an interesting one too. In the finishing discussion, when I was looking shit up, he obviously comes up a lot because he's always been an insanely bad finisher every year of his career. Yeah, and then this year he was just level, equal to his XG, just normal. And wow, he scored 19 goals. But he could just be way under again next year and not get a pen for the first 10 game weeks. And it's like, wow, that was a fucking trap.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I mean, I don't think there are that many players jockeying for this position. Like, I don't feel like we had any real like extreme over hot finishing. I mean, you mentioned Mateta is definitely there.
Foden.
No one.
I mean, Gordon, like someone like Gordon, like, is he this good? I don't know. Maybe he isn't,
I think he is.
I think he is. I like him. I'm just trying to throw out candidates for this position. And Kai's probably on the list, right? Like, Kai's always been historically insanely bad finisher, like underperforming by large amounts every year.
Yeah,
until
but he
this
also
year.
don't. Yeah, I mean, it's also just the new role. Like, I think it's not like commensurate with what he was doing previously.
Yeah, just throwing names out there.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But why? I'm curious why you think Foden isn't a pick. Because I mean, if anything, this season he was just a pick from game week 1 through game week 38.
I mean, he's going to get a hike. I mean, he's probably going to be in the 9-5 region, and
best season of his career.
Yeah, best season. I mean, how many of these outside the box bangers is he just going to hit? Like, and is he going to hit almost a 3,000 minute mark again with them playing all these games? I mean, he could, but I just
Unlikely.
like, it's so unpredictable. It's like, is this where you want to spend your money? I mean, maybe, we have to see what the fixtures look like and what they do in the window, in the summer, but
yeah.
I don't know. You just still just like, I mean, I had him for a period of the season this year, but I didn't have him at the stretch end, and he had a couple of really big hauls, but it just still felt like it's just also very unsustainable to me, where it's just like he's popping up in these certain specific game states of just extra runner in the box where it just falls to him or he bangs one from outside the box. And I mean, is this really going to be just a 200-point player? I don't know. Like, I'd rather have Palmer, like, I mean,
it seems based on like his career, which, he has a lot of games now in the Prem, even though he's still young, Foden. And it seems like he's a very above average finisher. But this year was even like almost double his norm.
More.
And
above
the thing
with
but for me, I think the thing with the minutes is more what I'm sort of interested in from a regression standpoint, where it's like, all right, he had 2,800 league minutes this year, most of any attacker or like front six player for City. Traditionally, if you go back season by season, the attackers don't play that many minutes. No attacker, maybe one. Haaland did last year.
Yeah.
The year before that, Bill, but he's not really attacker. The next highest was Kevin at 2,200. I think the injuries to Haaland and Kev at different times sort of this year helped him just be like undroppable. Traditionally, Pep will rotate. Yeah.
The one difference, though, that, I will say in Foden's, feather for his cap is when Kevin was younger and actually fit and a monster, he played every minute he could handle because he was their best attacker and their most important player. And, when you have that mantle,
like 3,000 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have that mantle for Pep, which Foden is certainly a fit boy, he could just play 3,000. Like, he could he is their best attacker. That's for sure. And, he might just be like, okay, this is like Phil's playing all the time.
Right.
And then he is a pick.
Yeah. I mean, even David Silva would play basically every game, right? Like, I mean, he was older by the time Pep arrived, and he played 2,800 minutes. Like, he wasn't like some interchangeable piece how he treated a lot of players. I mean, Raz in that period would play like 2,800 minutes and basically start every game. I mean, it's not that he rotates everyone. It's that he just rotates a lot. But
a lot, yeah.
It felt like a weird year injury-wise for me. And Haaland missed a good chunk of time. Kevin missed a good chunk of time. Jack missed so many minutes. Yeah, Doku was hurt a little bit. All of these things.
Doku might have been a bad buy. I don't know.
No, I think Doku's phenomenal. I'm very opposite on that. But all of these things helped Foden start as many games as he started, right? Like every one of these played into Foden starting as many games as he started.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Jal's still there. It's just it's tough.
Jav is a weird one too.
Yeah, it's tough to just juggle the minutes and see like how to predict them out. But
yeah,
I mean, I expect Foden to be like 9-5, 8-5 at least 8-5, right? And
he'll be more.
Well, I mean, but this is like the same thing with
player of the season.
We thought they would all be
230
we thought
points.
They would all be more, and then they weren't. So I mean, he could be 8-5.
True. Yeah, maybe they don't do that.
If he's 8-5, I'd be like, oh yeah, for sure. But
right, that's Saka was 8-5, right, to start the season. It's just
like he has games where he just like doesn't take a shot. It's like, oh yeah, of course he didn't shoot because he was playing fucking
Tell me about it.
The middle third the whole game. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I mean,
We'll get there.
I had him for a lot of the season, but also he managed to kill me because there were so many moments where, he would just go games completely invisible, do nothing, and then I get rid and he just hat tricks. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's most of it, right?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, and that basically covers all the things that were on my mind. And I'm compiling all the questions that we got prior to this, and we'll do and add everyone in Discord after this for more questions and responses to this episode. But yeah, dude, I think it's another one in the books.
Yeah, that's another postmortem.
We gotta listen back, dude.
For what?
For game week 1 next season.
Oh yeah.
We have to listen back and actually. No, it's not. It's not all in the Mind Palace. We're gonna fall into the same fucking trap.
It's all up there. I got it. No, I got it.
God. Oh god. I got it, we actually got an anus slap. Last anus slap opportunity of the year. Monica Fisher took that opportunity to slap the ass and get in there. Thank you, Monica.
Thanks, Mon.
And see you guys on Thursday. Walsh, any last words?
Thursday. Yeah, see you Thursday.
See you Thursday, Ben. Post. Check us out at FMLFPL.com. Follow us on Twitter, FMLFPL Sports Page. Check out /FMLFPL. Subscribe, rate, review,